I'm Lauren Mikeal Parsons, and this is...
I'm Robb Krueger.
And we're in On the Razzle, and I'm playing Madame Knorr.
A woman of the world, sophisticated, dressed to the nines, with a hat to knock your eye out and an eye to knock your head off.
Thank you. Yes, I own a fashion house. And this gentleman, maybe, is Melchior. I don't know if you can call him a gentleman exactly, but he's classic, if you will.
Yeah. How many times in the play do I say that? At least 24 times. It's
classic.
My catchphrase. Classic. Classic and it's them. If I can say those two, if I forget my lines, one of those two is probably right. Melchior, really, he's not a bad guy. Melchior is somewhat desperate at the beginning of the play. He's unemployed, and he seeks a job with an incredibly pompous person whom this lovely lady is going to marry. Because she finds him lovable, perhaps the only one who does. Lovable in a cuddly, rough bear kind of way. But I become his new butler, on the verge of several major events in his life, and he sends me off on an errand without having a chance to introduce me to anybody else in his life. His employees, his fiancée, anybody that he knows. But I'm supposed to help him. And all of my best efforts to help him in the course of the play are hampered by the fact that I don't know who anybody else is.
So we are engaged to be married, but we're going to pin down, set the date. He's going to take me to a wonderful dinner and little band. And so he sends Melchior to go set up this date at the Black and White Chop House. We're really classy. And
think Subway.
Yes, the steakhouse, the beer.
You're going to get engaged at Subway.
Right. So, but Melchior decides that that's not good enough.
No. So I come up with this concept for this beautiful dinner at a lovely Italian restaurant.
But he doesn't know anyone.
Yeah. So all the best of intentions. But while this is going on, the two main characters, who are her fiancé's employees, who have seen nothing of the world up to this point.
They work in the grocer, and
7 days a week.
Right, and they just haven't been out, and they're very excited that he is going to be gone, and they decide they're going to get promotions. They both get promotions right off at the beginning of the play, and they decide, well, we've got to see the world.
Which tie them even more to the workplace.
Right.
Yeah.
So Melchior leaves to set up this fantastic evening for me, and Zangler leaves to get ready as well, my little brass band that's going to come play. Not the whole band I was hoping for,
fun.
but...
Did you turn your finger green?
I turned green. So these two decide that they're going to go on the Razzle.
Vienna's a big place. What are the odds we're going to run into the boss? It's a farce. 100%. And many times.
And hilarity ensues.
Yeah. Lots of mistaken identities. Because I know who nobody is. And there's lots of clothing switches.
Right. In the fashion house, tartan is all the raves. There is Scottish print everywhere, which makes it quite easy for people to switch capes and Christopher becoming a girl, disguised as his niece.
Yeah. I mean, it's on the surface, this is utter slapstick, absolute craziness. Beneath the surface, though, there are a lot of serious messages that Stoppard pulls in about old world economics and the desperation that the poor have, that when they see the opportunities that the rich have, and the intelligence and status that's accorded to people who are rich. Zangler, her fiancé, the man who owns this store, is a pompous... I don't want to say the word that follows that, but he's a real pompous fool.
He's not good with words.
No.
And he's very exuberant and larger than life type fellow.
Somewhat hostile, somewhat a bully.
Right. Well, I
not
don't
an
think
evil
so,
person, but he does tend to bully.
Right.
He kind of rolls over people like a steamroller. And while I think people will like him, you don't feel bad that he's the one who becomes the victim of all of the goofiness that goes on. Somehow everything always comes back and bites Zangler, which, because of the sort of person he is, you don't necessarily feel too terribly bad about that.
And Tom Stoppard, who wrote the play, is a brilliant wordsmith. There are probably 500 jokes in this show.
Easily.
And if you catch 50 of them, I'll be impressed. You're just... every rehearsal that we've had, I find something new to laugh at that I think I'm, pretty with it, and I've read the script many, many times, and I've seen it now, but there's just so much in there. The way that he uses his words and crafts them, and double entendres all over the place, and laying down different jokes. It's fantastic. So it keeps you on your toes as well.
Lots of wordplay. If you love really good language, some of the lines can be interpreted 3 or 4 different ways, and really, it's a show. From an economical point of view, it's a show you should need to see twice, because you get the second layer of humor a whole lot the second time you see it.
It's funnier the second time, and it's really funny the first time. So
yeah,
it's true.
Really?
The other thing is, if you like farces, I think that this is such a great balance. It's a farce. There is the slapstick. There is the big farcical nature of people chasing and running and mishaps, but there's also this intellectual humor, and I think it's rare that you find both of those. That you find such a funny play with also the just extreme physical humor as well, and that's made it really fun to work on, because in the rehearsal process we've had to work for the very specific farcical elements, and also for understanding each of the jokes. Spartan, I thought they said tartan, that's why I'm making this joke. So
yeah. Well, and if you're familiar with Tom Stoppard's work, I mean, a lot of people know him as the Academy Award-winning author of Shakespeare in Love. But if you're familiar with most of his other things, his more famous plays, Dead, Arcadia is a big one, Rock and Roll is his most recent. You don't think of him as the writer of farces, and this may very well be the only farce he ever wrote. I don't know for sure, but this is not your typical, if you're thinking this is really cerebral and you'll have to sit there and concentrate really heavily, you can, and you'll get a lot out of it, but you could also come to watch it in the same way you would watch a Warner Brothers cartoon and be just as entertained, because it is that funny. I mean, the gags come really, really fast.
There's not a minute that's not just being covered by these just outrageous things at times.
Yeah, the restaurant scene where every woman that enters is wearing Scotch plaid. And I turn to the waiter and say, "Have you seen a young couple? The woman's wearing a tartan getup." And he just looks. It's classic. It's classic.
What a strange fellow.
Pretzels. You have to see the play to get that joke.